Miracles are all over the Torah. But what's the point of miracles? Welcome back to the Perek Project, where in just a few minutes a week, we look at the timeless wisdom of Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, and we learn some amazing insights for our everyday lives. I'm Gila Ross with the Power Up Podcast. So what is the point of a miracle? Why are they mentioned so often? In fact, so many of our festivals commemorate different miracles. They are there to show us that God controls all of nature. And in fact, what we call nature, the day-to-day running of the world, is really God ordaining what should take place. We just don't think of it as miracles because we're so used to it happening. In fact, there's a story in the Talmud where a rabbi's daughter told him that she had run out of oil to light Shabbat candles. And he turned to her and said, "So use vinegar, because he who said that the oil should burn will tell the vinegar to burn." And indeed, that's what happened, because this rabbi understood that every single thing that happens is because God wills it to happen. So for him, there was nothing more miraculous about the oil lighting than there was about the vinegar. And for him, the vinegar also burned. We're told that all the miracles that were to be performed in the world were planned and created in potential during the first 6 days of creation. And then whenever a prophet needed to use that miracle, they just announced the time and when it would happen. But the miracle in potential was already created during the first 6 days of creation. But there were 10 things that were created on the twilight of the first Friday. Now, the twilight is really in between. And it wasn't yet Shabbat. So it was still the 6 days of creation. But it was above just the 6 days because it was the twilight of Shabbat. And therefore, it already was infused with the holiness of Shabbat. So whatever was created then was above nature. So let's look at what these 10 miracles were. So the first one was the mouth of the earth that opened and swallowed Korach, in the story where Korach challenged Moses and said that Moses was not the leader from God. And in fact, his challenge was not just a challenge to Moses, but it was a challenge to all of Judaism. And because it was such a fundamental challenge, there was such a fundamental miracle in response to it that the earth actually opened up and swallowed them up. The second one was the well that gave the Jews water in the desert. The third one was the mouth of Bilam's donkey. This is an incredible story that Bilam, he was a magician and he was a prophet, and he was asked to go and curse the Jews. And he asked God if he should do that, and God said, "No, I don't want you to curse the Jews." But he was offered a lot of money and he wanted to do it. So God eventually told him, "You know what? Go, and whatever I put in your mouth, you'll say." And as he was going on his horse, and these weird things kept happening, that the donkey would stop. And really what was happening was that there was an angel that was trying to prevent Bilam from going and doing this thing that God didn't want him to do, to curse the Jews. And every time he got annoyed at the donkey and he hit the donkey when the donkey stopped. And eventually, crazy thing happened. The donkey spoke back to him. He said, "Why are you hitting me?" And this is an incredible lesson that God was teaching Bilam. He was teaching him that the gift of speech is a gift from God. And it's for us to remember as well. It's a gift from God, and we have to use it well. And God was telling Bilam, just like I can give it to an animal, I give it to you, and it's a gift, and you'll see. And the end of the story is that he was not able to curse the Jews. He instead gave them a blessing. But we, by knowing that story, should also remember that our speech is a gift, and we can build worlds with it. The fourth one was the rainbow, after God brought the flood, he made a promise that he was never ever going to bring a flood to destroy the world. And the sign was the rainbow. And in fact, until today, the rainbow is an eternal sign that no matter how bleak the future may seem, God will be there, and he's going to take mankind to its ultimate goal. And then the others were the manna that the Jews ate in the desert, Moses' stick, which he used to perform the miracles in Egypt, the special worm that they used in the creation of the temple, the Beit HaMikdash, because they weren't allowed to use any weapons, any metal, because they were symbols of violence. So there was a special worm that could cut these large stones, which was also created in the twilight of the first Friday. The script, this means the Torah, because before the world was created, the Torah was actually written, but it was only assumed a written form, and the twilight of the first Shabbat, which was, it existed on black fire on white fire. The others was the inscription, the instrument that God used to make the tablets, that we were given at Sinai, because they were very special. They were miraculously written on both sides. And in fact, the first set of tablets that God gave us at Sinai were also created during this twilight zone. So there we have some of the amazing miracles that were created in that twilight zone, when it was still the 6 days of creation, but it was infused with the holiness of Shabbat, and these supernatural things were created, which shows us that God is in control and God directs our life. Thank you so much for spending your time and listening today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if this resonated with you in any way, please share, like, and follow us to hear future episodes. Thank you again for your time.